Everyone. So I am Biswanath and today we are going to start the new chapter, that is thorax. So this is the lecture 1 of thorax. We will read thorax in utmost detail and the things that will come in your exam, will cover them up. Okay. So first let's define the thoracic cavity. Okay, thoracic cavity is the cavity of thorax which contains some of the major contents like the lungs and the heart, the trachea, esophagus and all. Okay, so thoracic cavity is the cavity of thorax which is enclosed in an elastic osteocartilaginous framework. Okay, so that the volume of thoracic cavity can be increased or decreased. Okay, so let's first discuss about your thoracic cavity. So thoracic cavity is enclosed in cartilaginous framework. Cartilaginous framework, and this helps to increase or decrease your cavity, that is the volume. Okay, this helps to increase or decrease the volume of thoracic cavity required for respiration. Okay, so if I want to draw the thoracic cavity, so I can draw this like that. We'll complete it in one diagram. Let me draw. Let's say this is the manubrium of the sternum. This is the body and this is the xiphoid process, and posteriorly, let's say we have the T1 vertebrae here and your T12 vertebrae here. This is T12. Okay, so thoracic cavity is like this. Let me cover them both. This and this. This is a dome-shaped concavity here. Okay, so this is the diaphragm. Okay, this is the diaphragm, and I said this is the manubrium, and this is your body of sternum, and this is your xiphoid process here. Understood? So here let's say we have the T4 vertebrae here. Okay, let's say in this horizontal line we have T4 vertebrae also. So the level from the T1 vertebrae to the T4 vertebrae, this whole area, the highlighter is not visible. Okay, no problem. This whole area is your superior mediastinum. Okay, this is your superior mediastinum, and here it is divided like this one and this one. This is your anterior mediastinum, middle mediastinum and your posterior mediastinum. Understood? So these are your divisions of your thorax. This is the thoracic cavity. So if you want to write the boundaries, the anterior boundary is formed by obviously the sternum and all. Okay, sternum. Your lateral boundary is formed by your 12 ribs, T1 to T12 ribs with their intervertebral disc plus their IBDs. Okay, then their posterior boundary. This is a posterior boundary, right? Anterior, and this is a posterior boundary. Yeah, posterior boundary. Okay, and lateral boundary, it must be bound by the ribs here like this. Okay, so which ribs? From your 12 ribs from T1 to T12. Okay, 12 ribs with their costal cartilages and their intercostal spaces also. Okay, what are the contents here? What are the contents? So in the contents, the major contents are your lungs here, and your heart is there, your trachea, your esophagus. Okay, and your blood vessels associated with your heart, blood vessels. Okay, understood. So with this, let's discuss some other things. Okay, uh, let's discuss about a fascia called as your Simpson's fascia. This is also called as suprapleural membrane. This is also called as a suprapleural membrane. Let's discuss it. Let's say this is your C7 vertebrae. This is your C7, and here are the processes, transverse processes of your C7. And let's say here is your T1 vertebrae. Here is the transverse process of T1. Okay, and here must be your rib. Here is the first rib. Okay, and let's say here is your cartilage of that rib. This is your first rib. So where does the Simpson's fascia extend? So Simpson's fascia start from the transverse process of your C7 and extends till the costochondral junction. Okay, the junction between your ribs and your cartilage, the costochondral junction, and extends to the inner border of your first rib. This is your Simpson's fascia. This and this both. So what is the extent of your Simpson's fascia? The Simpson's fascia is a tough triangular membrane, okay, which separates the thoracic cavity from your neck. This separates thoracic cavity from neck. Okay. Then it is a tough triangular membrane. Its apex, the apex of Simpson's fascia is attached to the transverse process of C7. So here the apex is attached to your transverse process of C7, and your base is attached to the base is attached to the inner border of first rib and its cartilage. Okay, and the base is attached to your inner border of or surface of first rib and its cartilage. Okay, the inferior surface is fused with the cervical pleura also, and superior surface, in the superior surface of this, the subclavian vessels pass through it. So these are not much important here. Okay, this is the degenerated tendon of Simpson's fascia. Is the degenerated tendon of scalenus minimus muscle. Okay, degenerated tendon of scalenus minimus. Okay, and in the use of Simpson's fascia, we can write that it protects the apex of lung from injury. Protects apex of lung from injury, and another thing is prevents puffing of neck during respiration. Okay, prevents puffing of neck during respiration. These two are the uses of your Simpson's fascia. Understood? Then we will discuss the okay. So have we discussed the thoracic inlet and thoracic outlet? We haven't discussed probably. Okay, we'll discuss them in later. Okay, thoracic inlet and outlet. Then after Simpson's fascia, we will discuss a topic called as your angle of Lewis. Okay, your angle of Lewis, or you can say it sternal angle. Angle of Lewis or your sternal angle. It is present at the lower border of T4. Lower border of T4 level. Okay. The level is the lower border of T4. And some important changes occur in this angle of Lewis or your sternal angle. Okay. Some changes are there. So what are the changes in the sternal angle? In the sternal angle, the arch of aorta starts and ends. Okay, let's say this is your arch of aorta here. So it starts as well as ends in your sternal angle. Okay, this is your arch of aorta. What other changes occur? Here trachea divides. Trachea divides. This is also called as your carina. You must have heard where the point where trachea divides is called as your carina. Okay. In cadaver, okay, this is the cadaveric level. But practically T5 and T6 are the levels where the trachea divides. Okay. Then we can have the looping of a recurrent laryngeal nerve here. A recurrent laryngeal nerve here. Okay. Then at this angle there is the presence of cardiac plexus. This is the junction of superior and inferior mediastinum. Okay. This is the point of attachment of second costal cartilage. Okay. Here the pulmonary trunk divides. Pulmonary trunk divides here. Okay. And your azygous vein present in this level drains in your superior vena cava. Your azygous vein drains into superior vena cava. And your thoracic duct also, many changes are there. In your thoracic duct deviates to left at this level. Okay, the thoracic duct deviates to the left at this level. Understood? Okay. Then we will discuss your diaphragm. This is an important topic. Let me start with your diaphragm. So if I draw a diagram of your diaphragm, then the diaphragm is like this. There is a right crus of diaphragm, there is a left crus of diaphragm, and again this arcuate ligaments here. Okay. Here we can have your, I have used yellow, yeah, no problem. Here we can have your sympathetic chain here. Okay. Sympathetic chain. Here we have two foraminous. That is foramen of Morgagni. Okay, these are the foramina through which the superior epigastric vessels pass through. It gives passageway to your superior epigastric vessels, which you are gonna see in detail in your abdomen, the arterial supply of your abdomen. Okay. Then we have a central tendon here. Let me draw it in green. This is the central tendon. Central tendon of diaphragm. Okay, this is a central tendon of diaphragm. Okay, then in the central tendon of diaphragm we have the opening here. Let's give it number 1. Okay, we have an opening below it, let's give it number 2, and a opening between the crushes, that is number 3. Okay, some other things let me label. So this is the right crus, the right limb of diaphragm. This is the left one. Okay, and here you can see arising, these two are your ligaments. Let me label this one, and here this one. This one is a medial arcuate ligament, is a medial arcuate ligament, and a medial arcuate ligament is the thickening of psoas major fascia. Okay, the thickening of psoas major fascia, and here in this part, this one and this one, these are the lateral arcuate ligaments. Lateral arcuate ligaments, these are your thickening of your thoracolumbar fascia. Lateral arcuate is the thickening of your thoracolumbar fascia, and your medial arcuate ligament is the thickening of your psoas major fascia. Okay, then some other things are there here. From the lateral arcuate ligament arises some structures. Here we can draw in a sequence here, this like this and like this. Here we have vein, artery and a nerve. Which veins, which arteries and which nerve? These are the subcostal. Okay, you can have subcostal vein here, subcostal artery and your subcostal nerve. Okay, then some nerves can be seen in your left crus of diaphragm. Okay, these nerves are your splanchnic nerves, and a vein can be seen opening into it. This one is your hemiazygous vein. This is a hemiazygous vein. Okay, so this is the whole diaphragm, and we have to name the openings here. So one, that is in the central tendon, that is your vena cava opening. Vena cava opening present in the central tendon. What are the contents of vena cava opening? We have the inferior vena cava, of course, and your right phrenic nerve also. Right phrenic nerve also. Second, we have esophageal opening. What are the contents? It is present in the right crus, just above the right crus. Okay, so in the contents we can have esophageal opening, so it will give passageway to esophagus, of course. Okay, esophagus, then right and left vagus nerve, remember this, and the esophageal branch of left gastric artery. Okay, and then between the crus we can have your aortic opening between the crus. Here what passes? Aorta, thoracic duct, azygous vein, and your hemiazygous vein sometimes. Okay, Understood? So after this, okay, after this we can observe a thing that the right crus of your diaphragm, the right crus of your diaphragm is supplied by both the right and the left phrenic nerve. Okay, the left crus is only supplied by your left phrenic nerve, but your right crus is supplied by both your right as well as your left phrenic nerve. Okay, this is the thing you should remember. So I can write this, that right crus is supplied both by left and right phrenic nerve. Okay, understood? So with this we complete your diaphragm, and then we are gonna discuss your thoracic wall. Thoracic wall. So rib, if you just know about the ribs, okay, had I said about the shape of these openings, please note that this one, the vena cava opening, this is not circular in shape, this is quadrangular shaped. Okay, this is quadrangular shaped, and your esophageal opening, that is elliptical in shape. This is elliptical in shape, and your aortic opening is circular. Okay, this is a small point here. You should draw it in that way. So thoracic wall. So we know that rib is attached to the vertebral column, one to the body and another to the costal facet of transverse process. Okay, rib is attached twice to the vertebral column. Okay, so you should know this fact so as to understand better. So we have some intercostal muscles here. Intercostal, that are the muscles between the ribs. Okay, we can have three intercostal muscles. One is external intercostal muscle, internal intercostal muscle, and your innermost intercostal muscle. Okay, I should write EICM: external intercostal muscle, internal intercostal muscle, and innermost intercostal muscle. Okay, innermost intercostal muscle. So what are the three innermost intercostal muscles? We have subcostalis, intercostalis, intimi, and sternocostalis. Understood? So if you understood this, let's discuss about the schematic diagram of these muscles here. Okay, so let's say here we have a rib, your vertebral column, a vertebrae here. Okay, so with and the sternum here. Okay, and the sternum here. So we can have your muscles are let me show how the muscles are arranged here. So first one, which arises from a transverse process and goes halfway, not halfway, just most of the part to the sternum, not all. Okay, it doesn't connect to the sternum, it doesn't connect to the sternum, just goes near the sternum, and from this part to the sternum is connected by your external intercostal membrane. This is an external intercostal membrane, not the muscle. Okay, and this muscle is your external intercostal muscle. Okay, this is the external intercostal muscle which is attached to the external intercostal membrane to the sternum via the external intercostal membrane. Okay, then your innermost intercostal muscle, let me draw it. So again here is a membrane, and by the membrane originates the muscle known as your innermost intercostal muscle. Okay, then your three muscles of your internal group. Okay, so let me draw your subcostalis here. This is intercostalis, intimi, and here is your sternocostalis. Okay, and this is your internal intercostal. Okay, sorry, IICM. And these three are your innermost. So this is your arrangement of the things which are here. Okay, understood? Okay, so with this let's discuss about a nerve block. Okay, we are gonna discuss the thing called as pleural tapping and where should it be done. Okay, so pleural tapping, a point is there that pleural tapping. Let me first draw an arrangement and then show you. Here is a rib and here is a second rib here. This is intercostal region. Okay, so intercostal region here, and here are the three muscles: the external intercostal, the internal intercostal, and your innermost intercostal. Okay, so here is the arrangement like this. We have the vein here, okay, and your artery is here and your nerve is here. So the arrangement is like this: VAN. In all of this the arrangement is VAN except for first intercostal space. In the first intercostal space we have the arrangement like NAV, the nerve, artery and your vein. Let me draw the first intercostal space here only. Okay, so we have the arrangement like this: nerve, then your artery and then your vein. Understood? So this is the arrangement of your first intercostal space here. So for intercostal nerve block, we want to block the intercostal nerves. Okay, for intercostal nerve block we should this is your first rib. Okay, this is your first rib. Okay, and this is your second rib, the lower rib, lower rib. Okay, so here for for intercostal nerve block, the needle should go from the lower border of upper rib. Okay, it should go from the lower border of your upper rib. So here is the first rib, your upper lip, not the first rib. I can just simply write your upper rib. Okay, and this is your lower rib. So for an intercostal nerve block, the needle should go like this from the lower border because the nerve is lying downwards. Okay, like this, so that it can pierce the nerve here, the lower border. Okay, for intercostal nerve block. For pleural tapping, the needle should go from the upper border of lower rib, the upper border of your lower rib. Okay, so the needle should go like this because here the nerve is lying where the nerve is lying above. Okay, understood? Then we want to understand the directions in which the muscles are arranged between the ribs. Okay, so let me draw a rib. Let's see, here is the one rib. Okay, and another rib. Let me draw here. Here is another rib. Okay, So the first muscle, that is the innermost intercostal, the backward muscle that is present posteriorly, must be lying here like this in the backward part. Okay. Then we have the front muscles, that is your internal intercostal. Let me mark it in another. This must be lying this here like this. Okay. And the fibers are directed like this. Understood? And then your muscle, your external intercostal, must be arranged like this. Okay. And backwards you have your innermost intercostal. This is your innermost intercostal muscles, and here marked in green is your internal intercostal muscles, and you're marked in this. You can observe here that the external intercostal and your internal intercostal are nearly perpendicular here. Okay, they are mutually perpendicular. Okay. Understood? Then we are gonna see that what are the layers. Okay, what are the layers that would be pierced if we do pleural tapping from the anterior side. Okay, what are the layers that would get pierced in your pleural tapping? Okay, so now layers pierced by pleural tapping. So the first layer, what will be first there that will be pierced? Yes, the skin, of course. The second layer, your fascia. What will be the third? Your serratus anterior muscle. Remember, we are doing pleural tapping from anterior side. Okay, the rib side. So serratus anterior muscle is like 8 digitations are there. So if you do pleural tapping, the serratus anterior would obviously be affected here. Okay, it would be pierced here. The serratus anterior would be pierced. Then what will you get? You will get external intercostal first, then internal intercostal muscle, then intercostalis, then we'll pierce the endothoracic fascia. What is this term? The fascia that is covering the inner surface of your ribs, the endothoracic fascia, and you will also pierce your parietal pleura. Okay, you will also pierce parietal pleura that covers the inner surface of lungs and your not the inner surface, that covers the lungs and is intimately at that is outermost layer of your lung covering. Okay. Okay. So then we have some intercostal nerves. Okay. Some are called as typical intercostal nerves because they supply the intercostal region. Okay, they supply the intercostal space. So we have some typical intercostal nerves. What are typical intercostal nerves? Because they supply the intercostal space too. Okay, so let me first name the nerves here: T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8, T9, T10, T11 and T12. Okay, these are all your nerves. So first nerve, do you remember T1? T1 was the root value in covered in your brachial plexus. Okay, in the previous chapter. So this get involved with brachial plexus. This is not typical. T2 is your intercostobrachial nerve. Brachial nerve. So this is also not typical. From T3 to T6, these are your typical intercostal nerves. typical intercostal nerves. Okay, so in some books T3 is excluded, so they say there are three typical intercostal nerves, T4, T5, T6, but 4 in number is your most appropriate answer here. Okay, and nerves from T7, T8, T9, T10 and T11, these are your thoracoabdominal nerves, because we are going down the body, right? So abdomen is reached, thoracoabdominal nerves will supply the rectus sheath, we will discuss it later. So these are not your typical intercostal nerves. And T12 is called as a subcostal nerve, so this is also not typical intercostal nerve. Okay, so you can see that the typical intercostal nerves are T3 to T6. Okay, T3 to T6. So what is the general course of an intercostal nerve? Okay, how the intercostal nerve transverses. Understood? So let me first mark how the intercostal nerve transverses. Let's draw a diagram. Let's say this is a spinal cord here. Okay, your spinal cord. Let's say this is an intercostal nerve which is coming. Here we have the muscle layers also. The external intercostal muscle EICM here. Okay, and it will end in your external intercostal membrane. Then your internal intercostal will start from here, and the internal intercostal muscle will be there like this. And the innermost intercostal muscle here, here and here. Okay, so let's say this is an intercostal nerve. Let me mark it with yellow for anatomical connectivity. This nerve will go like this, like this, like this, like this. Will cross where it will the pierce the innermost the internal intercostal muscle as well as the external intercostal membrane. Okay, this will pierce it, and it will divide into a medial branch and a lateral branch here. Okay, in the middle too, the intercostalis muscle in front of this will divide into a posterior branch and an anterior branch, and the anterior branch and your lateral branch, the anastomose here, this is the anastomosis point. Okay, so this branch is called as a lateral cutaneous branch, which divides into a anterior branch and a posterior branch marked with A and P. Okay, and this branch is your anterior cutaneous branch, which divides into your lateral branch marked with L and your medial branch marked with M. Understood? So what does it pierces? It is very important. It pierces external intercostal membrane, not muscle. Okay, it pierces the external intercostal membrane, not the muscle. Okay, so with this we have finished the course of a typical intercostal nerve. Okay, so then we are gonna see how the arteries are supplying. Okay, intercostal arteries, about the intercostal arteries. Course of intercostal arteries. The courses of the intercostal arteries. So let's say here is your sternum. So this is your sternum. Okay, and let's say this is a rib. A rib is there like this. Another rib is there like this. Okay, these are your ribs, and let's make the cartilages too. These are your costal cartilages here. Okay, so what we have done, the ribs are like this, curved. Okay, the ribs are curved, but we have the flattened the rib. Okay, we have flattened the rib for simplicity purposes. So ribs are like this. This must be the sternum, and ribs should be like this. Okay, like this. But we have what we have done. We have flattened it. We have flattened the rib. Okay. So in this, let me first draw the aorta here. So let's say here is our aorta. Here is our aorta. So from aorta arises the posterior intercostal artery. Posterior intercostal artery here. And from the posterior intercostal artery we have a collateral branch also. This is the collateral branch of posterior intercostal artery. Okay, and here we have the internal thoracic artery also. This is your internal thoracic artery. Okay, and from internal thoracic artery arises your AICA, and another AICA, with anastomos with this point. What are the AICAs I am telling? These are the anastomosis points. So AICA stands for AICA, the anterior intercostal arteries. Okay, these are the anterior intercostal arteries which arise from the internal thoracic artery. Understood? So internal thoracic artery, it has a diagnostic purpose. So internal thoracic artery, it is used in your bypass grafting. Why? Because it is easily accessible here. Okay, as it is lying just beside the sternum. Okay, and it acts as a large size artery, because we need a large size artery, but it has an functional histological specification that it acts as a large sized artery. Its elasticity is more. Okay, it has a high elasticity, so it acts as a large sized artery. So what are you must have observed what are the branches of your internal thoracic artery as well. Okay, so it will give some other branches also, like the musculophrenic and the superior epigastric arteries. Okay, so let me discuss the internal thoracic artery also here. Okay, then we'll go to the venous drainage and all. So let's have a discussion of your internal thoracic artery. Internal thoracic artery. Okay, this is the manubrium, and this is your sternum. Okay, so let's say this is a rib, first rib, second rib, third rib, fourth rib, the fifth rib, and your seventh rib. Okay, so these are your ribs, let's say. Understood? So if these are your ribs, then we are taking the first part of subclavian here, where the internal thoracic artery arises here like this. Let me make it a little bit thicker, because you have to draw the another arteries also. So it will go like this. This will pass just posterior to the ribs, this, divide into this branch and give up this branch. Okay, so I'll name the branches as such. Let me first show another two branches. Here is a branch, here is a branch. Two branches of, what are the two branches I have shown in earlier picture? The AICA, your anterior intercostal arteries. Okay, so these two in all are your anterior intercostal arteries. So it gives two anterior intercostal arteries, two AICAs in each intercostal space. Okay, understood? Then the typical thing is your sixth intercostal space here. This is your sixth intercostal space, this whole region, this one, is your sixth intercostal space, where it gives extends as one artery and gives another branch. So this one, the artery coming here, is your superior epigastric artery. Superior epigastric artery. How it will continue? It will go through your foramen of Morgagni. Okay, and it will ultimately become the content of rectus sheath. Content of rectus sheath. Foramen of Morgagni we have read in your diaphragm. Okay, here we had the diaphragm. So like this. So here we have two foramens like the foramen of Morgagni. Okay, understood? Then your this branch is your musculophrenic arteries. Musculophrenic arteries. It gives off anterior intercostal arteries in your 7th to 9th intercostal spaces. Okay, because the artery that is your internal thoracic ends here. Okay, so the musculophrenic arteries continues to do the same job of the internal thoracic in your 7th to 9th intercostal spaces. Okay, so superior epigastric and your musculophrenic arteries, these both are your terminal branches. So these are the terminal branches of your internal thoracic artery. Okay, these are your terminal branches of your internal thoracic artery. Understood? So anterior intercostal arteries, these are given in your 1st to 6th intercostal spaces. Okay, and in your 7th to 9th, the musculophrenic artery itself gives us the anterior intercostal arteries. Okay, then the branches. What are the branches of your internal thoracic artery? So let me state them. Some other branches are there also. Okay, so we have superior gastric artery, we have discussed it. The musculophrenic artery, we have discussed this. Anterior intercostal arteries. 4 is a mediastinal branch. I have not shown in the diagram, but this is a remnant of thymus. Okay, this is a remnant of thymus. Okay, then we have a pericardiophrenic artery. This runs with the phrenic nerve. Okay, this runs along with the phrenic nerve. So let's say this is a pericardiophrenic artery and this must be your phrenic nerve here lying with it. Okay, phrenic nerve here, and it supplies where it supplies your diaphragm, your mediastinal pleura, and your fibrous pericardium. Okay, your fibrous pericardium. In females, another artery is there. There is a perforating mammary artery. Okay, so this perforating mammary branches, this give up the supply to the 2nd to the 4th intercostal spaces. Next we will discuss your azygous and hemiazygous veins in detail. So azygous and hemiazygous veins. Okay, azygous and hemiazygous veins both drain at the superior vena cava at the T4 level. Okay, you must have heard of the angle of Lewis. So the hemiazygous veins drains into SBC at the angle of Lewis. So let me first draw your superior vena cava and then we'll show the azygous and hemiazygous veins which must be draining into it. So let me take the blue color and draw the superior vena cava here. From the superior vena cava arises the right brachiocephalic and the left brachiocephalic veins. Okay, let's say this is the left brachiocephalic vein and this is your right brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so from your right brachiocephalic vein drains another vein which is your right first intercostal vein. Right first intercostal vein. Okay, below it, from below, another vein is going into your superior vena cava. This one. Okay, and this is your azygous vein, and your hemiazygous vein is this one, that is your half azygous, that is hemiazygous vein. Okay, and here is your inferior vena cava to IVC. Okay, understood? Here are a few veins. Let me label the diagram, but I would draw the branches first, and here must be a branch here. Okay, this is an accessory hemiazygous vein and few branches given out from here. Okay, in your left brachiocephalic vein drains another vein which is your left first intercostal vein. Okay, and many branches are given here, but I will label this in a while. This is your T4 level. Okay, this is your superior vena cava, your right brachiocephalic vein, the left brachiocephalic vein. Okay, let me label this vein which is dotted and inferior vena cava. This is first let's label this vein. This is your azygous vein. Okay, this vein is your hemiazygous, and this one is your accessory hemiazygous vein. Okay, and this is inferior vena cava. This one is a right lumbar azygous vein, right lumbar azygous vein. Okay, and this is a left lumbar azygous vein. Okay, then we have few branches. This is a T4 level, that is the point where the azygous vein drains into your superior vena cava. Okay, so first label this, let's label this another branch. Let me draw another branch first. A branch is there like this and two other branches from this. Okay, this is called the right superior intercostal vein. Okay, the right superior intercostal vein, and in this side also, but it doesn't drain into your azygous vein, it drains directly into right brachiocephalic. Okay, this one, it has also the branches, two branches. This is your left superior intercostal vein. Okay, it's a bit complicated to understand the course of your azygous veins. Okay, so after this, the first, let's understand the distribution of your intercostal nerves and how they drain into the system. So first intercostal vein drains into this. Your second intercostal vein is this one, which drains into your right superior intercostal vein, which in turn drains into your azygous vein and finally into your superior vena cava. Okay, your third vein drains into the third intercostal vein, drains into your right superior intercostal vein, which drains into your azygous and finally into superior vena cava. And this is the fourth, which fourth drains into your right superior intercostal vein, which in turn drains into azygous and superior vena cava. Same course. The fifth one drains to here, the sixth one drains here, the seventh one drains here, and the eighth one also drains here. Okay, and from below, the ninth one, the 10th one, the 11th one, and your right subcostal vein also drains here. Okay, understood? After this, let's go to the left side. In the left side, the first one drains to the right brachiocephalic vein, the left brachiocephalic vein. The second one will drain into your left superior intercostal vein, which drains into your left brachiocephalic and finally into your T4, your superior vena cava. The third one the same course, and the fourth one also the same course. Okay, and in this, the fifth one drains here, sixth one drains here, seventh and the eighth. And the hemiazygous, the ninth one drains, the 10th one drains, the 11th one drains, and your subcostal veins also drain here, the left subcostal vein. Okay, so this is the whole venous network of your veins draining there, the intercostal veins. Another question is that the how the azygous vein is made up of, how the azygous vein is made. So azygous vein consists of what veins? It consists of your right subcostal vein plus your right lumbar ascending vein and your right lumbar azygous vein. So here is a problem here. This is not your azygous vein. Let me mark the azygous vein here. This is your azygous vein. Okay, I had marked the wrong vein as a azygous vein. This is your azygous vein. Understood? So this is made by your right subcostal here. The right subcostal vein is contributing to the azygous vein. Your right lumbar ascending, this is your right lumbar ascending vein. This is your right lumbar ascending vein. Okay, this is contributing to the azygous vein, and here is a right lumbar azygous vein, which is also contributing to the azygous vein. Okay, so 1, 2 and 3, this contribute to the azygous vein. Understood? So this is your azygous vein, and here is the concept here. Okay, some clinicals are there, like the upper and lower ribs are least commonly injured in crushing of the chest. Okay, because the upper two are protected by the clavicle and lower two are floating ribs. Such clinical points are there. Okay, these are not much important. Okay, some infant ribs are there, like in kids and children's. In kids and children, the ribs aren't crushed in injuries. The injuries of chest, the ribs aren't fractured. Okay, the fracture of ribs doesn't occur. Why it doesn't occur? Because the ribs are mainly cartilaginous here. Okay, the ribs have not developed and are now cartilaginous and have the recoil property. That's why. Okay, the fracture of ribs generally occurs in your old as compared to your young. Okay, because why? Because in old there is the calcification here of ribs, calcification, so commonly injured, they become brittle. Okay, then in severe crushing injuries, okay, in severe crushing injuries we can have a chest which is known as your frail chest. Okay, which is called your frail chest. So what is frail chest? Frail chest is that in severe crushing injury, some ribs may come up and form a segment, separate segment of ribs, and this frail segment, this is called as a frail segment. This uh, is sucked in and out during respiration, which does a special type of respiration which is called as a paradoxical respiration. Okay, paradoxical respiration. Then we can have a special varieties of chest like your funnel chest, that is pectus excavatus. Okay, that is a developmental defect. Funnel shaped chest, when the chest is compressed anterior posteriorly. Okay, this is your anterior posterior compression of chest. That is your funnel chest. Okay, let's say this is your chest, then it is compressed like this anterior posteriorly. It is anterior and posterior side. Then we can have another chest which is your pigeon chest. Pigeon chest, that is your pectus carinatum, in which the chest is compressed from side to side compression. Okay, what are the causes of this pigeon chest? So it can occur in your chronic respiratory diseases and rickets. In rickets, pigeon chest is seen, and your chronic diseases, some chronic respiratory diseases, pigeon chest is found. Okay, understood. So another point is that the sternum is preferred is to a site of bone marrow aspiration. Bone marrow aspiration, BMA. So it is a preferred site because it is subcutaneous. Okay, and it is accessible also. You can just palpate and see the sternum, feel the sternum. So it is most commonly used in bone marrow aspiration. Okay. The shapes of thorax, some thoracic shapes are there, like in birth, after 2 years of birth, and at the time of birth the thoracic cavity is entirely constant. Okay, the surface area is constant, but in children. But in adults, the shape of thorax is, the diameter increases. Okay, this diameter is more than this diameter due to thoracic breathing. Okay, most commonly separated rib is your 10th rib. 10th rib is the most commonly separated. Okay, understood. Okay, these are some of the random points that are there in your in your discussion, some clinical points which I discussed. Okay, so in the next lecture we are gonna cover some other things. I have made the lecture very short. Okay, short and crisp. We have discussed not much things, but important things, that is thoracic cavity. Let me give an overview of the lecture. Okay, so thoracic cavity is an osteocartilaginous framework due to which it can permit increase or decrease in volume. The borders of a thoracic cavity are anterior borders is the sternum. The posterior border are the T1 to T12 vertebrae here. Okay, the lateral border is by ribs, that 1 to 12 ribs, and costal cartilages and intercartilaginous spaces also. Under the contents, the lungs, heart, trachea, esophagus, and your blood vessels form the contents of your thorax. The superior mediastinum is bound by your manubrium anteriorly, and your T1 to T4 vertebrae posteriorly, laterally by your ribs. Okay, then this is your anterior mediastinum, this is your medial mediastinum, and this is the posterior mediastinum. As such, the diaphragm forms the outlet of your mediastinum here. Okay, this is a Simpson's fascia. What is the Simpson's fascia? It is a suprapleural membrane, also called as suprapleural membrane, which separates the thoracic cavity from your neck. This is the degenerated tendon of scalenus minimus muscle. It protects the apex of lung from injury and puffing protection. Okay, it is attached to your the apex is to the transverse process of C7, and the base, the broader part, is to the costal cartilage and the inner surface of the first rib. Okay, understood. Then we have the angle of Lewis where many changes occur. This is the lower border of T4. Importantly, write the lower border. Here the arch of aorta starts and ends. The trachea divides. The looping of recurrent laryngeal nerve occurs. Cardiac plexus is present at this level. Junction of superior and inferior mediastinum is at this level. The second costal cartilage is attached to this level. The pulmonary trunk divides here. Azygous vein drains into SBC. And the thoracic duct deviates to left from this level. Okay. Then we discuss diaphragm. So let me quickly draw a structure of diaphragm and explain you all. Okay. Let's say this is the diaphragm. Here we have the right crust, the left crust, and the medial arcuate ligament. This is a lateral arcuate ligament. This is the medial. This is the lateral arcuate ligament. Here we have two foraminas, that is called foramen of Morgagni here. Then we have a central tendon here. Here we have the central tendon of diaphragm. Okay, here is an opening which is called as your venous opening. Okay, vena cava opening. Vena cava opening. Here what passes? Your inferior vena cava and your right phrenic nerve passes. Okay, right phrenic nerve passes. Understood. Then you have the second opening here. Second opening is called as your, that is elliptical in shape, that is your esophageal opening. Okay, esophageal opening. Here what passes? Your esophagus passes, the passage to your esophagus, and the right and left vagus nerve also passes. Right and left vagus nerve also passes. Vagus nerve also passes, and the esophageal branch of your left gastric artery also passes. Esophageal branch of LGA also passes. And the third opening is between the crust. This is circular in shape and is called your aortic opening. What does passes? Aorta passes through here. Okay. Then your thoracic duct passes, AT, and azygous and hemiazygous vein. Azygous vein and your hemiazygous vein passes through here. Understood? Here we can have your sympathetic plexus, right sympathetic plexus chain here, and some subcostal vessels and nerves arising from this part. Okay, understood? In the left crust, we can have the splanchnic nerve. The splanchnic nerve can be seen, and your hemiazygous vein can be visible also. Then thoracic wall, we can have muscles. Here is a vertebrae and here is the sternum here. So we can have your external intercostal muscles and the membrane, the internal intercostal membrane and the muscle, and your subcostalis, intercostalis, intimi, and sternocostalis. Understood? Subcostalis because it is below the ribs, intercostalis because it is lying in the middle part. Okay, and sternocostalis because attached to the sternum. Okay, here the arrangement of the vein, artery, and nerve here. So in upper part we can have VAN arrangement. In the lower part we can have the NAV arrangement in the lower part, VAN in the upper part, and NAV in the lower part. Okay, and the first intercostal space we can in the upper part also we can see NAV. Okay. Here is the arrangement of the muscles, the directions in which the muscles lie. Okay, the external intercostal muscles that lie, the direction is the downward. Okay, downward, forward, and they come medially. The internal intercostal muscles they travel downward, backward, and they go laterally. Okay, and the innermost, this one lies downward, backward, and laterally. Okay, or straight down you can write, just a little bit laterally. Layers pierced by pleural tapping, skin, fascia, serratus anterior is pierced, of course, external, internal intercostalis, endothoracic fascia is pierced, and the parietal pleura is also pierced. What are typical intercostal nerves? The nerves from T3 to T6 are called as typical intercostal nerves. Okay, so what is the course of the typical intercostal nerve? So if here are the muscles. Okay, this is the membrane here. I'm making dotted. Here is the membrane muscle, and these are those three muscles here. Okay, so if I want to draw the course of the nerve, so this is your spinal cord. Okay, the nerve will go like this, will come like this, and will divide into the lateral cutaneous branch here, and will go below and divide into your anterior cutaneous branch. The lateral cutaneous branch divides into your posterior segment and your anterior segment, and your anterior cutaneous branch divides into your lateral segment and your medial segment. Anterior and lateral segment, they fuse with each other, okay, and they pierce that. This is the course. If I draw the course of arteries, if here is the sternum and here are the ribs here, okay, then if you have the aorta here, then the posterior intercostal arteries PICA will be seen here, and internal thoracic must be passing below it and giving up the anterior intercostal, which are fusing here, and then a collateral branch of PICA will come and fuse with another AICA. Okay, this is your internal thoracic artery. This is your arterial supply. Then internal thoracic, we saw how it gives branches. So 5 branches of this internal thoracic. It has 5 branches, that is superior epigastric artery, the musculophrenic artery, the AICAs are given, okay. Then the mediastinal branch is there, mediastinal branch, it supplies the thymus, mediastinal branch supplies the thymus gland, okay. And fifth one is your pericardiophrenix arteries, pericardiophrenix arteries, okay, understood. Superior epigastric gives branches, passes through foramen of Morgagni and becomes the content of rectus sheath. Musculophrenic gives up AICAs and 7th to 9th intercostal spaces, okay. Then your azygous and hemiazygous veins we discussed. In this azygous and hemiazygous veins, we discussed about how the veins pass through and how they drain, okay. This is very important, so you should understand it first. So I am repeating it, okay. So you have your superior vena cava here, SVC here, okay. Superior vena cava has 2 branches, your left brachiocephalic vein and your right brachiocephalic vein, okay, RBC and LVCV, okay. So here vein drains like this, we have arrangement, like this we have arrangement. We have inferior vena cava here, 2 veins like this here, okay, and 4 branches from here, 4 branches from here, 4 branches from this region, and 4 branches from this region. Understood? So this is our whole arrangement. We should first label it, okay. Here the first rib drains into this, and the fourth rib drains into this. The second and third drain into the fourth intercostal vein, okay, which drains into this part. This is your azygous vein, this whole part is your azygous vein, okay. It has the contribution of 3 other veins, that is your first one is subcostal vein, this is a subcostal vein, and another one is the right lumbar ascending vein, and this one is a lumbar azygous vein, this is a lumbar azygous vein, this is another lumbar azygous vein, okay. Here also the first intercostal vein that drains into a left brachiocephalic vein. The second one, this is second one, and the fourth one which drains the fourth intercostal vein, and 2 and 3 drain to the fourth intercostal vein. It goes directly not to the azygous, it goes directly to your left brachiocephalic vein, okay, understood. This is your accessory hemiazygous vein, accessory, and 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th drain into it. Here also 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th drain into your this vein. Then another thing is 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11 and subcostal, sorry, this drain into your hemiazygous vein. This is your hemiazygous. So if I mark the veins, this is your hemiazygous vein, okay, this is your accessory hemiazygous vein, and here this is your azygous vein, not the whole part, from this, understood. This is your azygous vein starting from here to here. So this was the venous drainage, a little bit complicated, so this needs revision, okay, this needs revision, do revise it, and a few that clinical points which you can find from any book on clinical anatomy and all, and read it, okay. That's all in today's lecture. So it has been 1 hour and 15 minutes, and we have completed which topics. So I discuss about the thoracic cage and your thoracic cavity, then your diaphragm and your thoracic wall, and your venous drainage, the arterial drainage, as well as the general course of a typical intercostal nerve. Okay, so that's all in today's lecture. Meet you tomorrow. Join us for subsequent videos. Thank you.